Welcome to Let's Play Divinity, a fantasy role-playing game developed by Larian Studios and published by CDV Software Entertainment in 2002. Remember 2002? This is a game I'm really excited to be playing for the first time, and I'm really interested in the tone of the Divinity games and also the particular mechanics of their role-playing system, which we'll explore a bit more as we go on. And also this is my first role-playing game as a Let's Play, which is exciting. As you can hear, Larian is strung out the gate with an atmosphere of medieval fantasy here. I'm going to go quickly through some of the menu options and then we will get started. So you can resume a game, you can start a new game, you can load and save from this screen, but this is also the in-game menu that you'll find. Various options. Under video we have visual options. You can just adjust the gamut and darkness in this game. And under performance you can choose to set the quality level and you can toggle the Z tunnel, 3D shadows and fog. I definitely want fog. And then we have sound. You can adjust the relative values of the ambient sound, the sound effects, the music, the voice acting. I've tweaked these a little from the defaults to get a better balance for the recording, so I hope we'll get the voice work coming through clearly. And comments are on. I take it comments as subtitles, but I definitely want those. Under game, we just have two settings. We have verbosity, which I have on, as I definitely want as much dialogue as possible. And difficulty I'm going to set as easy, because I don't enjoy combat too much in video games. I think there's going to be quite a lot in this, and I'd like it to be as simplistic as possible, please. And you also have the chance to rebind keys, so quite a lot of keyboard shortcuts for this game. We'll probably talk about those a little bit more as we go along. But worth noting, there is a quick save function with Control S by default. So also in the menu you have the option to view an intro. It doesn't automatically play it, so that's an interesting aspect. And the credits are separate here as well, and you can quit. So let's get started with a new game. Let's meet these 6 characters. So these are the starting characters that you can choose from. There are just 3 different classes in Divine Divinity. You don't need to roll for stats, you don't need to choose abilities. You just get what you're given when you pick a person. So you might be going for a particular play style, or you might just prefer the look of one of them. There are quite a lot of play options in the game, from what I understand. So you can kind of build up wherever you want. So you sort of role-playing through action rather than predetermining who you want to be at the start. So let's start off with this person. We'll have a look at them. Each of the characters steps forward and introduces themselves, and I guess this is the first point to talk about the tone of the game. I'll leave it up to you how intentionally humorous you think these monologues are supposed to be. There are some pretty outrageous statements by some of these characters, professing to the relative merits of male and females within their professions. So we'll give it a go and see. But I think, for me, I think it's intentional, and I think the voice acting sells it in particular cases. I think one of them being the first person we'll meet.
I'm a bad boy, but you have to be to survive on the streets. To live in the gutter, a lad has to learn to cut corners, and on occasion, cut other people's purse strings. These days, the law only serves the rich, so I help myself.
Here we are. So we have the rogue class with a big staff there. So you can choose portraits in the centre here. It's usually about 4 or 5 for each of these characters. You can type in a new name for the character, and you can also adjust the difficulty setting here as well. Let's have a look quick at the stats for the survivor. They've got vitality of 50, magic of 40, strength of 10, agility 15, intelligence of 10, and constitution of 10. And some of the special abilities they start with are Assassin's Kiss, a passive ability. I think that's a particular kind of attack that can be done. And Trader's Tongue, passive, which I think helps you with bartering for goods, because indeed there is a whole bartering system in this game. So let's have a look now at the second contender for our affections.
I am strong, as a man should be. The strength of my body and my skill with weapons are all I will need to defeat the many foes I will doubtless meet in my life. Evil must be cleansed with iron, gripped in a strong hand.
So you've got your typical patriarchal chauvinist warrior, which is delightful. They have vitality of 60, they have magic of 30, strength of 15, agility of 10, intelligence of 10, constitution of 10. They start with augment damage, passive, which has got to be an attack ability, I think, and sword expertise, passive. So you're already geared up for quite a melee combat kind of build there. And then we've got our magic user, our third class.
A strong mind and a grasp of magic are all a man really needs to fight evil. I've seen an aged mage wither a mighty warrior with a simple word and a gesture. Such a mage will I be, using magic to remake the broken land. So
they start off as a fairly reasonable, rational person, and then sort of get a bit megalomaniacal towards the end there. So let's move over to the other side. Let's see who we have here. This will be our survivor.
They say there are only two ways of living for a poor girl on the streets: prostitution or starvation. I took the third way. I steal from the rich and give it all to my poor self. At least in this corrupt world, I'm a hero to myself.
That's a fairly reasonable intro. So vitality of 50 for this one, magic of 40, strength 10, agility 15, intelligence 10, constitution 10. So they have identify as a passive ability and lockpick as a passive ability. So not the same as the survivor. And I realize I've just forgotten to talk about the stats for this person. So we'll come back to them. They're going to introduce themselves again, but I think we can bear it.
A strong mind and a grasp of
They've got
magic
vitality
are all a
of
man
40,
really needs
a
to
magic
fight
of
evil.
90, strength
I've
10,
seen an
agility
aged
10,
mage wither a
intelligence
mighty
15,
warrior with a
constitution
simple
10.
word and a gesture.
And they get summon
Such a
vermin
mage
as
will I
a
using
starting
magic to
ability,
remake
which
the
is
broken
quite
land.
an interesting thing, and meteor strike. So now let's go on to our warrior class here.
Who says men are stronger than women? I bested the village blacksmith at wrestling when I was 15 and killed my first man in a fair fight less than a year later. The land sickens. It needs a woman's strong hand to restore it.
Which is a certain perspective. Let's see, so this person has vitality of 16, magic of 30, strength of 15, agility of 10, intelligence of 10, constitution of 10. It starts with Elven Sight, passive, which I think increases your range of vision when you're playing, and the ability to repair, because there's also item damage in this game, which I'm not particularly looking forward to, so I might get repair at an early stage so we can forgo some of that. And then last but not least,
They call me a witch because I'm a woman, and an enchantress because I'm pretty. Damn them! I deserve as much respect as any male wizard. The land is sick, and in using magic to heal it, I'll earn their admiration.
So that's a really painful and unhealthy a stereotype of some form of feminism. But more importantly, let's have a look at statistics. We've got vitality of 40, magic of 90, strength of 10, agility of 10, intelligence of 15, constitution of 10, and the abilities of meteor strike and bless. Meteor strike is probably like your basic offensive magic attack, and this is the character I want to go for. One, because they've got the best outfit and the best hair, and also because I don't usually play magic characters in RPGs, so I'm keen to give it a go. So let's have a look through the portraits we can have. Ooh, Natalie Portman kind of torrent of hair look at the end there. I think I prefer this portrait more than that. It's closest to the character model, I think. And I have a name picked out for our character. She's going to be Jeanne. There we are. So let's get started. I awaken in an underground room, not knowing where I am nor how I got here. I remember nothing of the bio I formerly pronounced out loud. So we have, first thing to say is you should be able to press Alt to highlight any items that you can pick up in the area. It doesn't seem to be working for me at the moment. I'll have to look into that. So I'll be mousing over things to interact with items. We have a very large number of the environment you can interact with in Divine Divinity. It's one of the unnecessary but wholly enjoyable things about it is that there's so much to interact with in the environment. There's this empty washing tub, a bed. If we click on the bed, we'll rest. There's a candle, there we go, and also a minor healing potion. Some sandals on the mat there, with all the cobweb, and you can interact with the torch there as well. So let's go get some sandals. Even though we do have some very cool boots on already. What happens if we interact with the candle? We put it out. There are some default actions that happen with certain kinds of items in Divine Divinity. So if it's something that you can stir away, you automatically pick it up. Things like torches you either snuff out or ignite, depending on what state they're currently in. Beds you automatically rest. If it's a container with something in, it automatically opens up a separate window where you can pick up inventory items. Things like that. And you can also manipulate items in the environment. Let's see if we're close enough to that. We can move the tub around, and that can be used for solving puzzles as well. Let's explore this room a bit more. There's a chest here. It says it contains one item. Let's open up and see. Here we go. So now we get a pile of gold, 25 pieces. And then that chest is empty. And close it. So now is probably a good time to start looking at some of the menu options. So let us have a look at the bottom row to start with. So on the left here, the red bar is our health. We've got 40 of 40. Next along, our skills. Let's open up the skills window. This is a behemoth of a window and shows you all the different schools of abilities that you can get. So currently we have only a few. We've got hell spikes. Oh, I didn't know we had hell spikes. Call on the netherworld to shoot spikes under the feet of your opponents. A maximum of 1 spike can be summoned. The spike does 3 times 4 plus 10 damage, which sounds like quite a lot. Required level 1, magic cost 2. There is an option to reveal things that you haven't yet got the power to do by clicking show all skills here. So that will show all of the available options throughout the game. But I think to keep it less confusing, I'm going to hide those for now. And any new ones will pop up as we gain more XP and the ability to level up. So we've got Wizard Sight. Use the power of magic to cast your view into areas your feet have yet to tread. That sounds very helpful. Penetrates the shroud for 1 time unit. Allows you to look through roofs. Quite handy. Required level 1, magic cost 1. And then here, Bless. So we do have 1 level in that. So I think, because it's not as dense an image as that one, I think we haven't got all the levels in it. We've got 1 marker there. So I suspect we can probably have boost up our Bless as we go on. We can level that up. We also have Summon Vermin, which I remember the male wizard would also have, which is very helpful. And we've got Lockpick already? That'd be really helpful. Assassin's Kiss. Surely we don't have all these. Trader's Tongue, passive. Identify, passive. These, I guess these are probably not ones that we have then. Interesting. And, oh, okay. So no, these aren't all, it's not showing us just all the things that we have. It's showing us all the things we could possibly have at our current level. Hiding everything else. So these are across all the different classes. We definitely don't have all these. So I'm not sure how you can quite tell the difference between what you have and what you haven't. There's Meteor Strike. Oh, maybe because they're greyed out we do have them. That's slightly confusing. So they're... Yeah, so Wizard Sight, which is an active ability, and Hell Spikes, which is an active ability, look denser than the rest. But we don't have them? Oh, there is a way to check, we'll come to that. So this is a nice complex levelling up system, and entirely free. I mean, you can choose anything from any class when you've got the required points to level up. So that's a really attractive feature on this. This is a huge window. I won't keep this open for much of the gameplay, just when we're going to use it. So I'll close that for now. Next along, we've got statistics. Lies, and our statistics. So we can see that Jeanne, level 1 mage, experience 0, next level 2000, 40 out of 40 vitality, 90 out of 90 magic, strength of 10, agility of 10, intelligence 15, constitution 10. And we've got offense, defense, damage, and armor stats. Resistance to various substances is 0. It also shows a gold there, which we just picked up, 25. And the weight we're carrying, because there is also a weight limit, so you can become encumbered, which I guess we'll talk a little bit more about when we get to that part of the inventory management. So let's close that one again for now. And this is where we open the main menu, or this off-center Divine Divinity logo. In the middle we've got the yellow bar, stamina. I'll just show you another shortcut. If you press R, that toggles auto run. So I shall sprint across the room and you can watch the stamina go down. There we go, that's the stamina. We've got this piece, so you can toggle here between combat mode and normal conversation mode, exploration mode. My muscles suddenly tensed, and I relaxed. Show equipment, here we go. So this is perhaps a useful thing to look at. This is where our sandals have ended up. They've been automatically equipped. We've got broker sandals, we can see the stats of them. Durability 1 of 1. So when they wear out, they're going to wear out quick, and repairing them isn't not going to avail us of much. They weigh 3. We've got armor of 20. Oh, there's also localized armor damage in Divine Divinity. It's bonkers, but there is. So when you're in combat and you get attacked, any hit that lands will be determined to what part of your body it landed on, and it will apply the armor statistics for what you've got equipped on that part of the body. So at the moment, if I get hit anywhere other than my feet, I haven't got an armor rating. So that's pretty bonkers, but that's what that is. I might keep that open for now. That's probably a good one to keep open. And then we've got inventory here. So let's keep this up here in this corner. So you've got different categories of inventory to help you sort out what you're going to be picking up. Armor, weapons, spells and scrolls, herbs and potions. This is where our healing potion went. And miscellaneous, which includes cash, which is nice. So our sandals aren't actually in there, are they? I think we can plop them in if we want to. Yeah, we can unequip them, plop them in onto our inventory, or we can plop them back in there and equip them. So good to know that things that are in our armor slots aren't also in our inventory slots. And then on the right here, the blue bar is our mana. So yeah, three different things to watch out for: your level of health, your level of mana, and your level of stamina, which does regenerate automatically, luckily. But you have to make sure you don't expend too much effort in one go for that. And then let's work from right to left on the top row of these menu options. So we've got this potions button here. So this allows you to browse all your available potions. Just got the one healing one, and you can see there it says F1. So on a previous test, I managed to assign that to key F1 just by hovering over it and pressing one of the function keys. So I can change that to F2 here and back to F1. So that might be really handy if I need to potion up in a hurry. And then if we click the browse skills, it's oddly a scythe, scything sword I think it is. It will replace those with our current abilities. So yeah. So despite what was showing up on the skills menu, we've just got bless, call upon the gods to grant you a blessing to the body, current level 1 magic caustic. So I think that is a buff to our abilities for a brief time. A meteor strike, cast your will into the heavens and bring forth a meteor to strike at your opponent, current level 1 magic cost 2. And there's also a special move. Every character class gets a special move. Don't really know what ours is. So to use these, you have to select one. I'm going to select, I think Meteor Strike is the most useful for me. You left click that to select it. That menu disappears. Meteor Strike appears here. but as most of them are just books with different images on, it can be hard to tell what's what. So if I want to use that, I will need to right click on something to activate that. Browse weapons. We currently have no weapons. It's a nice little angel in the middle there. We can pause the game, and it says game paused in the top right there. That's particularly handy in combat, I think, because combat otherwise happens in real time and can be a bit frenetic. We've got a diary here. So we end up with a much zoomed out minimap in the centre, and then so we can have a look at our quests. No quest received yet, but good to know the Grim Reaper's looking on. Back to the auto map there. Trophies represented by this skeleton. No monsters slain yet. Conversations. No conversations had yet with myself, I suppose. Personal traits. Here we are. Let's have a look at our personal traits. So we're at level 1. You are still wet of ear back and green of foot. You're not sure which bit of a sword to stick into an enemy, and you think crossing your fingers is a form of magic protection spell. You've got a lot to learn, kid. Strength 10. Frail old ladies beat you at arm wrestling and you would have trouble lifting a weapon, let alone fighting with it. Don't try to be a warrior. Agility 10. You're as clumsy as an ox and are just as slow on your feet. The village healer believes you may have severe glandular deficiency. Intelligence 15. Well, at least you might be able to get by on your looks and good nature. You have trouble breathing and thinking for longer than a minute gives you a headache. Constitution 10. You get severely puffed, walking slowly up several flights of stairs. You really should try to keep yourself a bit more fit. At this rate, you'll die of a heart attack before you're 30. Vitality 40, Magic 90. You are nigh unto death. Call a priest. Your mystic reservoirs are drained. The smallest magic is beyond you, and you often get splitting headaches. So I take it that's not good, although Magic 90 sounds like it should be pretty good. Offense 6, Defense 6. You're no fighter. Since you're very unlikely to hurt anyone, have you considered becoming a healer? You simply don't know how to look after yourself in a rough situation. Keep your head down or you'll lose it, which might actually be good advice. Resistance to lightning 0. You have no defense against lightning-based attacks. Join the majority of the human race. Avoid annoying wizards and gods. Resistance to fire 0. You have no resistance to fire, just like the rest of us. Be careful around naked flames and don't play with tinder boxes. Resistance to poison 0. You're particularly prone to poisoning. Avoid mouldy food and causing annoyance to aristocrats with big hinge-topped rings. Spiritual resistance 0. You have very little spiritual resistance. Let's face it, you are not cut out to be either a priest or a ghost hunter. Interesting. Right, so that gives you a bit of an idea of the sense of humour. Let's unpause the game. Last thing to look at is the auto map. Here we go, which you can also toggle with M. So that just gives us that little zoomed out map in the corner as well, which can be a bit handy for orienting yourself. So I think as a rule, I'm gonna keep the map, the equipment and the inventory up, unless it's blocking anything in particular. And let's get running. Where am I? A knife. That might come in handy. I don't know what kind of danger I'm going to face. You can see the knife has automatically got our inventory there. And our equipment even. Barrels. I must move these barrels. Even this broken barrel that contains nothing. And run into this corner. Nothing. Suspiciously empty shelf. I guess the only way up is via this ladder. And here, we're in a house. I'm going to stop running. I'm going to move around very carefully. I don't know what kind of situation I might face. It's another bed for sleeping. What's in this chest? It contains nothing. Another thing to note is that a lot of the loot that's not key to any quests or plot is entirely randomised, so on tests before there have been things in this chest. So that's another interesting thing to note. And also, the object interactivity is kind of a bit crazy because this chest I can pick up and I can just plonk it in my inventory. And that chair, that looks like a good solid wooden chair. Let's look at that. Let's put that in my inventory too. So I'll quickly become encumbered, but I am going to steal all the furniture that I can find. Let's see, there's a stone bottle.
I can't use that.
Has no particular use. There are mugs of water here. I'm not really sure what they're used for, but I think we can have them. And I also believe that they stack, so if I put another one here, just get a 2 marker next to it. It's not true of everything, but for mugs of water, it is. A plate? Yeah, I want a plate. A broken dirk, durability 1 of 1, weight 20, damage 5 to 16. What's this one? Durability 6 of 13, new knife. Oh, the new knife is much better, let's not bother with that. It's a manuscript, let's have a look. So letters appear as separate windows and you can read them here. You can also drag them into your inventory if you want to keep them. Dear Joram, visitors are no longer coming to Alaroth due to the gathering of orc raiding parties in the woods. That doesn't sound good. I'm of a mind that we should think to ask the ducal army for assistance. Surely it is just a matter of time before those foul orcs will attack the town. Regards, Lanelor. Indeed. Grim breakfast reading. I don't want stone bottle, but I do want to put this candle out. Can I put this candle out? It can be a little hard to there you go, interact with everything that you want to. I'm going to have a look in this. There's like some tasty stuff in this office. So let's have a look in here. A book. Let's read it. Herbal medicine refers to the use of any plant, seeds, berries, roots, leaves, bark, or flowers utilized for medicinal purposes. Using herbs is an ideal way to cooperate with our own innate healing power. Herbs may also, of course, be used to flavour food. The elves use herbs to produce aromatic oils for soap and fragrance, which are much in demand by human and dwarven aristocrats. So we have dwarves in our fantasy land. There's another potion, let's yoink that. Another stone bottle.
I'm not able to use that.
Yeah, not so interesting. There's 2 items on this shelf, let's go for it. A book, and let's get that money. Let's have a look at this book. The northern section of the land of Rivellon is dominated by 4 key localities: the Dukedom of Ferrell, the populous town of Verdistis, the shadow-haunted dark forest, and the legendary dwarven halls. Hopefully these are all places we get to visit in our adventure. The capital of Ferrell is Rivertown, set amid a pretty network of villages and farming communities. The chief export of Ferrell is farm produce, as the ducal fields are among the most bountiful in Rivellon. Duke Ferrell resides with his family at Stormfist Castle, an ancient fortress originally raised by the corrupt sect of wizards who later became known as the Damned. The Ferrell family drove the Dark Mages from Stormfist centuries ago and have done much to rebuild and renovate the building. Further to the north lies Verdistis, a wealthy city that is technically under Duke Ferrell's rule, but with a town council that has developed a reasonable degree of autonomy. Verdistis is well known for its impressive guild houses and the decorous mansions of its noble families. Having developed rapidly from a simple crossroads village, the rest of the text seems to be cut off. So that's probably the area we're in immediately, I reckon. I don't think I'll need to take the book, so I'll leave that on the shelf there. Especially as I don't really know whose house I'm in. Another book on this shelf, let's have a look. The Adventures of Omar the Pirate, Part 3. It sounds like a collectible. At the pinnacle of his career as a pirate, Omar made a fatal mistake. His growing fame and success caused him to become overly arrogant and blind to the dangers around him. He imagined himself invincible. Omar believed that no one would dare challenge him. He owned the most expensive ship in Rivellon, and his crew consisted only of loyal followers who would willingly give their lives for their leader. A growing number of high-ranking pirates and cutthroats in the era grew envious of Omar's success and decided that the seas would be better off without the presence of the insufferable Omar. His fate was to die while lying in his bed with a dagger protruding from his chest. That might well be the end of the story, so I think we can take this book. It sounds like it's a ripping yarn, so I'll collect that one. Anything on this shelf? There's one on this shelf too, cool. Let's have a look at this. A short history of the 7 gods. When the 7 gods were still young, they decided that each of them should have their own race which they would guide through the eternal flow of time. And thus it happened that Ralik, the most powerful of all the gods, became the patron of the humans. The burly Duna created the dwarves in his own likeness and even lived with them for a long time in tunnels deep beneath the earth. Tia Sendelius, who is also called the poet, went into the woods and created the elves. He blessed them with near immortality and wisdom. The reptile goddess Zolstisa wished to command a proud warrior race, and thus she created the lizard people, fierce fighters from the wasteland. The god Vrogir, renowned for his brutality and acts of violence, created the orcs and enslaved them for more than 300 years before he left Rivellon. Xanteza, the goddess of mirth and laughter, wanted an intelligence race, versed in the arts of magic around her. She created the imps, who were talented magicians and engineers. The goddess Amadia was an outsider, preferring to live in complete solitude. As the centuries passed, the six races spread over the whole continent. One day, Amadia fell in love with a wizard, and she gave birth to several demigods. She granted her lover immortality and decided that she would act as the patron mother of the wizards. Although wizards are not really considered a separate race, they now have their own goddess whom they worship. Interesting backstory. Might keep that one for future reading interest. Anything on the top shelf? Whoa, I'm lucking out today. There's loads of books here. The Adventures of Omar the Pirate Part 2. The infamous pirate Omar was obsessed by the idea of becoming the most feared and bloody pirate in the history of all Rivellon. When he was upon the quarter deck of his ship, the crew avoided looking straight into Omar's eyes. Omar sometimes claimed that he was a demigod in the guise of a man and held it as sacrilege if people looked too directly on his countenance. Some have claimed, however, that this was a simple ruse to conceal his embarrassment over his strikingly ugly features. Nice setup. Alright, so I'll click that one too. Yeah, so it's worth checking everything out because there's loads of stuff that you can interact with. And it looks like we're going to be getting a lot of backstory out of the text too. Let's see what else there is to explore.
My friend. You're awake at last. How are you feeling?
Oh, hello. So I say, who are you? How did I get here? What is this place? Take care. I think I'm more surprised than shocked. I'm going to say the first.
My name is Joram. I'm one of the healers here. As to how you got here, well, it's an odd tale. 3 days ago, while I was searching for some herbs on the edge of the forest, a small white cat drew my attention. I mean, it actually seemed to want me to go with it. I followed it cautiously and literally stumbled over your unconscious body. I immediately brought you back here. It was lucky for you that cat was watching out for your interests. A little longer, and you'd have been food for the kites.
My thanks for saving my life, such as it is. Bit self-deprecating. I'm in your debt, friend. Also, tell me more about the cat. This cat seems to know, like it knows what's going on. And may also be more than a cat. That's what I suspect. Where's this place? Take care. I'm going to thank this person.
You're welcome. And don't be glum, whatever your problems are. If I hadn't found you when I did, with the help of good fortune and a cat,
Tell
you'd
me
be
more about the cat.
stone dead by now. We healers have a saying, as long as you've breath, you've reason to be happy.
Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. What is this place?
You're in my house in Alaroth, a small community of healers. In normal times, this place would be bustling with activity, but things have been rather quiet due to the recent troubles.
Oh dear. What are these troubles you were talking about?
You mean apart from the orc bandits infesting the woods, and the fact that we've lost contact with the source?
Not the source.
Well, our leader, Mardanius by name, seems to have gone... How should I put it? Well, he seems to have gone as crazy as a loon.
Oh, really? I'm feeling a little suspicious of this place. Why do healers all live together in one place? Wouldn't it be better to go out into different communities to serve them rather than expect everybody to travel miles to be healed? And now there's crazy Mardanius?
Yes, that's the only way to put it. He's constantly raving about dark chambers and evil spirits, and he thinks everybody is a servant of the dark powers. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he's been possessed by a demon. Of course, that can't be true. Nobody has gone down with possession in centuries.
That's what they said about the pox. That's strange indeed. Is there anything I could do to help Mardanius? Dark chambers? Evil spirits? Well, it does sound like a demon in his head, all right. Well, look, why don't I repay my debt to you by putting the old boy out of his misery? I'm not that brutal. And then just take care. I'm not going to brush this person off yet. I'm going to offer my help. It seems like a reasonable thing
That's
to
good
offer.
of you, my friend.
Although,
And I don't want to sound rude, but we are, after all, professional healers. If we can't help him, I doubt a simple adventurer could do better. Then again, So far, all our efforts at curing him have failed, and the man is in constant mental pain. Maybe strange illnesses must be cured by strange methods.
How can I find this Mardanius?
Follow the street outside my house, a little bit to the south, and then go west.
South and west.
His house is next to the old well.
This is Joram. So, this is a good opportunity to show some of the other mechanics of the game, so we can probably trade with Joram. We go, yeah, so on the left it shows all the items we currently possess, which are all taken from Joram, and everything Joram is willing to trade. Seems to be money and a variety of potions. So you can... so if I wanted some healing potions, I could request 2 of those, enter into the trading window, and they would cost 138 gold normally. And I've got 27 gold. So I'm not really going to be able to balance that out. So let's not do a trade at the moment. You can also ask for repair here with this hammer symbol if the person's able to repair items and identify items as well. But I don't think I have anything that needs identification right now. So that's the basis of that. You can also, whenever you're in a dialogue, you can access your dialogue history as well, so that'll go back to the start. So you can recap anything that you might have missed. A handy feature. And say, take care.
Before you go,
Oh,
I couldn't carry your belongings with me when I brought you here. Feel free to take anything you find necessary from my house. We healers believe in sharing what we have with the needy.
Thank you. I might need 1 or 2 things.
Oh, you're very welcome. You can always repay me later if you feel in my debt. Perhaps you should pay George a visit. He has a small shop and could provide you with some basic gear for a reasonable price. But I'm sure an adventurer like yourself will find ways of making enough money, even here in poor Alaroth.
Where does George live?
He lives in the southeast of the village, near the
Southeast.
gate.
Thanks again. Goodbye. Interesting. We have a red exclamation mark over our diary. Let's see what's new. First day, 2108. Restore Mardanius' sanity. Seems that the healer Mardanius may have been possessed by a demon. Must find out why this fellow behaved so strangely. There you go, I've got my first quest. Although I'd say mild curiosity is probably more accurate than quest. Let's go back into the diary and a map. And I think we can add a flag here. Place note, remove note. Yeah, let's place a note to say that this is Joram's house. There we go. So if we mouse over that, do we get to see this? Aha, there we go. That's Joram's house. I think that'll become handy as a variety of quests and fantasy names get thrown at us. Okay, let's. I'm just gonna. Can it's alright if I explore a little bit here? A blue flask. I do like blue. Blue. That's one of my favourite colours. And chairs. I really like chairs. This is a particularly fine example of rustic rococo. You shouldn't leave your candles burning. You might see somebody taking your chairs. There's one thing in this whole bookcase. What we got? The manuscript. Dear Joram, I know that I still owe you 500 gold pieces, but I simply don't have the means to pay you back at the present time. Since the orcs started raiding woods around Alaroth, I've only had a trickle of customers. Money is tight for everyone these days, I suppose. Please be patient a little bit longer until the ducal army comes to clean out the woods and trade revives again, and I promise to return your kind loan with interest. Thank you again. Warmest regards, George. So there might be more going on between George and Joram than Joram was willing to say. There we are. And it appears to, if it's 2108, it's night time, isn't it? So I wonder if it'd be better off to explore in the morning. I want to hear. I think it's time to say goodbye for this episode. It's been a really good introduction to Divine Divinity, and we've got through some of the mechanics of the game. Oh, where can I put this chest? Nowhere. I don't really want a chest in chairs. Come on. Oh man, I might be stuck with them. Sorry, Joram. I might have messed up with your chairs. No, I just need to be in the right position. I'm something. I seem to recall I'm something of an interior decorator. I believe your chest would look good there. And I'm just saying up for book club. Except you might not have quite so many books as you once did. There. So that's repositioning. So this is goodbye for episode 1 of Let's Play Divine Divinity. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care.